What's the deal with being overweight being the actual problem? Hi, in case you don't know who I am and you're new to this channel, I am Slick Nick, your personal keto bro. And no, I'm not a doctor, a dietitian, a nutritionist, or a personal trainer. I'm just some random guy on the internet who's got a 40th birthday coming up, and it's very important to me that I continue my journey of fat loss, getting to a 17% body fat. That would make me happy. That's my foot in the door of that fitness range and no longer in that average territory. I mean, I'm a year away from, a year ago I had a dad bod. I've made a lot of progress, but I have further to go. But I want to talk about how being overweight is the actual issue, more so than anything. So when you're keto, people will naturally say, oh, you're eating 3 eggs a day, you're eating bacon now, you're eating sausage now, you're eating like all this Greek yogurt with all this fat in it. Like, how are you not gonna have a heart attack? How are you not gonna have diabetes or a stroke? That's an assumption people will make. Here's my response. My response is, yes, I agree that people who consume a lot of fat tend to be people who have health problems. But the conflated issue there is, when we make those relations there, when we see that if you eat a bunch of fat, that's going to make you have these health problems, we're talking about people who are overweight. We're not talking about people who are fit. And there definitely is a difference. And in the same way, there's a difference with not all sausage is created equal. I mean, or bacon. Specifically, I will only buy and eat bacon and sausage that has no nitrates, that has no dextrose, that has all any of those chemicals or garbage preservatives. I only eat the right kind. I have to go out of my way to do so. And even then, I'm not eating bacon and sausage every single day. I am eating eggs every day, but I'm eating pasture raised. So I'm very specific. So when people look at such things, they conflate. They say it's all the same. That a person who eats sausage and bacon and 3 eggs a day is going to have a heart attack or a stroke, diabetes, etc. They're talking about people who are already overweight. They're not talking about people who are fit. Once you start being around people who are my age or older, 40s and beyond, who are actually fit, you ask them what they're eating. What you'll probably find is they're not just eating salads. They're probably actually eating a lot of protein. And how are they doing that and still being healthy? It's because they don't have excess body fat. That's the actual issue. Body fat triggers your body to become more susceptible to health problems in general. So based on your DNA, you may be more likely to have a heart attack or a stroke or diabetes or some kind of any kind of disease. It doesn't even matter. I don't even have to be specific. People who have less body fat are less susceptible to such things. So it can be confusing to the outside world that a healthy person can eat so much cholesterol and get away with it. Well, it's because they don't already have the excess body fat. I mean, I would even venture to say, despite me being keto and only consuming 25 to 50 grams of carbs a day, I would even venture to say a person who does not have excess body fat, who is already fit, can get away with eating more carbohydrates, specifically more sugar. They could be the same kind of person who could go to Starbucks and get a large Frappuccino with its 800 calories or whatever it is, and all those carbs. And even though that's complete garbage and no one should eat that, as long as they maintain the lower body fat percentage, they're less likely to end up having diabetes, in theory, because they already have less body fat. It's the concept of cheat day. If we look at someone when they do an exception to the rule versus every day, then that's what it comes down to. For example, I have a friend that's a personal trainer. He just turned 40 this weekend, and he admitted to me over the weekend, he eats an entire pizza by himself. I asked him how often. He said, about once a month. Exactly. And that's why, and he knows that. That's why he does it. There's people who eat Hot Pockets and pizza and burgers as the regular norm. If you only did that once a month, though, it'd be different. Your body can get away with it because you already don't have the excess body fat. So to really demonize something, it's not so much to, and this is coming from a keto bro, I'm saying it's not necessarily that carbs are the problem. It's not necessarily that too much protein is the problem, or that too much fat is the problem that you consume. having the fat on your body already is the issue. It's the chicken versus the egg thing. If you already have the body fat, get ready for health problems and for that to trigger other things. If you get yourself in a caloric deficit to lose that fat and then maintain that fat loss, then ironically, you can get away with more fun. You can get away with having things that a person who is overweight couldn't get away with. But that's common knowledge. You can do more things when you have less body fat. So I think we're probably getting to some of my own psychology here. As far as me, I always talk about how people have their own motivations. It's very important to me that I am able to feel like I can kind of do whatever I want to do and not be restricted by things that I could ultimately have control over. You know, I'm an Enneagram type 1 personality. Control is number one. Fitting in with people, feeling loved by people is not what motivates me. Feeling in control is what matters. And I understand I can't control most people, and it would be a waste of time to try to do that. What I can control, one of the things I can control is my own nutrition to a certain degree. Yes, we all have predisposed issues based on our DNA and certain things like that. Just in the same way that some people live to be 90 and smoke cigarettes every day, and they can get away with it. The rest of us can't. I would argue though that those same people that smoke every day and they've done their whole life and they live to be 90, they probably have less body fat. Because, man, what a curse. What a curse to have excess body fat. What a blessing to not. But also what a blessing to know that we actually have control over it. How do you, it's such a well-kept secret, but how do you lose fat? Caloric deficit, ultimately. And I'm accepting that as keto, that's still kind of what all happens. I only eat between a 5-hour window. I'm minimizing my calories mainly because I'm getting rid of most carbs. And when you consume less calories than you need to store fat, by default you're going to lose fat. That's how it works. And that magic number is about 2,000 calories a day. So if you consistently do between about 1,600 and 2,000, which average 18, that's my goal, 1,800. You can't help but lose fat. If you're keeping up with those calories, making sure, granted it's not a foolproof method because sometimes you eat more or less than you think, or they're not always numbered as correctly as you think, but still if you're keeping up with it, you're still more likely to be able to have control over the situation. That's what causes you to lose fat. That's it. There's plenty of ways to get there, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. So imagine that. Having excess body fat is the real issue. And for me, I know I'm so much happier being closer to 20% body fat now than when I had the dad bod a year ago. Having excess body fat is the actual issue. And once you get rid of that, you can get away with more fun as far as things that you eat, as long as you just go a little bit over that 2,000. It's not until you get to about 2,600 calories that you start gaining fat again. So that's kind of like the fun little window that right there. Once you lose the body fat you want, you can still get away with having extra fun, knowing that it's not quite as black and white. It's black and white in that if you consume less than about 2,000, you're going to start losing fat. But once you go a little bit over that, it doesn't mean that you gain fat, you just maintain that. You have to go a bit further, 2,600 on average, before you're going to start gaining that fat back. That's why there are skinny people who eat junk food and they don't seem to gain any fat from it. You know why? Because they already don't have that fat on them and they're not exceeding that certain calorie amount. So they can maintain that because there's that magic window of about 2,000 to 2,600 calories. Your comments belong right here.